Talk about the wonderful blessings that we've had as a congregation. God has blessed us so much. We're going to talk about the school and all the ministry growth that we've had. You guys, I wasn't here. You put on new classrooms back when, and then now you have this beautiful building that we're standing in here today, a blessing that our school has. We're going to talk about that too. And then we're going to give you what we've been thinking about. We've looked at our needs. We take surveys of what we need here at Good Shepherd, and we want to now lay out those ideas to you of how we can solve those needs, how we can share Jesus with more and more people, and how we can optimize what we have here at Good Shepherd. And then, of course, the financial implications. This will take extraordinary gifts to accomplish. This will take God's people opening up their hearts and opening up their lives to this ministry in order for us to build connections to share Jesus. And then we want to think about your input as well. We want everybody here to discuss what questions do you have, and you'll notice that there's a frequently asked question in your sheet there too, but I want you all to just feel free to open up your minds and your hearts to us about the things that you're thinking about with this building expansion, and we're here to listen to you. There's even a form there that I'd like you to fill out following this open forum to think about things as well. So that's where we're going first of all for this presentation. You've seen this picture before. It's outside of our narthex on a big wall in beautiful print. You've heard about it in multiple of my sermons that I've given, multiple of Pastor Hines' sermons that he's given, and I'm sure that you've heard this mission statement of ours at Good Shepherd throughout the years. And compelled by our love of our Good Shepherd, we gather around God's Word to worship our Lord with joy, grow spiritually throughout our lives, serve God and one another in love, and share the good news of Jesus with all people. This is what we do here at Good Shepherd. In this building project, the opportunities that we have to go and to share Jesus with more people, to build connections, it fits perfectly in line with our mission statement of Good Shepherd. Just the concept of growing spiritually throughout our lives. Look at the building you're in right now. This is where you come and grow your faith. And this was a building project that we did. And it's what we want to accomplish in our next building project too. As we build more buildings, it's going to be able to allow us to bring more students into our school so that we can grow their faith. And it's also going to be a blessing to our congregation too, because as we build more classrooms, we open up space for more Bible study areas. Who was here when the 7th graders were just in here rearranging the tables? Last night, right? These tables were set up in food form. And now they're set up in Bible study form. And guess what? At 3 o'clock, before 3 o'clock today, they're going to be once again set up by our 7th graders in food form for the Advent meal that we're going to be having. And it's just amazing that we have that. But we need more places to have more Bible studies to share Jesus and to grow our faith and to share the good news of Jesus with all people. Well, we're doing that right now with you. Pastor Yankee does that with you. We go into our sanctuary and do that with you. We're going to have more Bible classrooms to do that. But to share with more people, well, guess what? Look at this. This is a full room. They actually say churches are full at 70%. Those numbers vary, but if you're sitting too close to someone, you feel a little bit uncomfortable, as we have people sneaking past and moving their butts like that. We need more room. We need more room. And this is just wonderful. So let's build more rooms so we can share Jesus with more people that aren't here right now. And let's do that together. Build connections to share Jesus. Oh, the blessings of our congregation. I mean, this just take back and thank God for the wonderful gifts and the blessings that He has given to us. Blessings of His words. See the great love the Father has lavished on us, that we should be called children of God, and that is what we are. 1 John 3:1. 2 years ago, I came to this congregation, just over 2 years ago now. My kids were in a public school. What a wonderful blessing that was. It grew their knowledge. They had wonderful teachers, but they didn't hear about Jesus. I came here in November. My kids were singing Jesus songs in our Christmas service 1 month later. And that's an amazing blessing from God. That's what we get to share with kids and people who come in and people in our world and who are going to Decorah right now and who come and tour our school. Well, guess what? They're going to be learning about Jesus' Bible verses the very next day that they step foot into one of our classrooms. That's a blessing that we have, and we have been a blessing to so many people. We just had our Christmas for Kids event. I want to mention 2 people. Pastor Schlick's neighbor came. What a wonderful thing. He has 3 young boys. 2 of them came to Christmas for Kids. Who knows where that's going to go, right? We had another young family come into our doors. His name's Nick Stewart. He has a daughter, Kinsley. Beautiful little girl, 5th grader, came to Christmas for Kids, got to see her future classmates. And I say future classmates because after Christmas for Kids, she already enrolled in school for next year. We're sharing Jesus. And we got more and more people who are coming into our building that we want to have room for. And so let's do that. Our congregation is staffed and poised for growth. Staffing, well, I feel still new here, although we got a new pastor, Pastor Schlick, but we're fully staffed in the pastoral realm right now. And we're ready to share Jesus with others. We just got a wonderful teacher, Mr. Kluba, who is blessing us with the musical gifts. If you see him during any worship service that he's in, he just brings joy and excitement. I sat by him as he was instructing. I felt the wind coming off. It was just neat. And so we're staffed. We have multiple aides. We're so blessed. We're completely staffed except for one. We're looking for our Little Lambs director, and may the Lord bless us with that into the future here. But we're ready to continue to share Jesus with other people. Our members have supported Building Connections expansion, $3.2 million over 6 years, so we can burn our mortgage in May. We did. That was neat. We were out in the circle there. We burned our mortgage. What a wonderful blessing. You guys, I do have a mortgage still. You can take on that if you want. But you have done so many things together as a congregation. $3.2 million in 6 years. Just this extraordinary thing that God has allowed us to do together to build connections. And it's because of you guys, and praise be to the Lord for that. I thank God for you, our congregation. Thanks God for you, and so many other people thank God for you too. As we think about so many other people thanking God for you, you don't know the names of everybody in our church. You don't know the names of everybody in our school. But they have names, and now they know Jesus, and they hear about Jesus. And they're now, because of the buildings that we have, because of the ministry of our school, they're going to heaven. 6.5 years, these have been our blessings. 25 baptisms from Good Shepherd School families who joined in that time. 25 baptisms. 10 baptisms of unchurched school families. Right? This is our school feeding our church. This is our school bringing more and more people Jesus in order to carry them home to heaven. 31 adult confirmands from new school families, and who knows, maybe that the new family, the Stewarts, maybe Pastor Schlicks, maybe they're the next ones. Maybe they're 32, 33, 34. We just want to keep going in 3 affirmations of faith. Blessings. Thank God for them. The Holy Spirit's doing His work through the Word of God. Facility expansion, benefits of church and school. Are we a school and a church? Do we separate those two? Not at all. We have those 100% together. We are a church with a school. One of our ministries is our school. And that's why we support it. That's why we care about it. That's why we pray for it. Our school is a ministry of our church, and you can see that it is doing exactly what we want it to do. We're bringing more and more people to Jesus, and it's just going to be continuously more and more of a blessing of what we have. So as we build schoolrooms, existing areas can be repurposed for church use, right? And I already mentioned that. As we build more classrooms, we transition some of the current classrooms. Did you know that I host my youth Bible study in the 6th grade classroom? I could, there in the morning, I take off a chair and I take off a pile of books. I take off a chair and I take off a pile of books. I take off a chair and I take off a pile of books. And I go down the line. Chair, books, chair, books, chair, books. And that's what we do. I got kicked out of the IMC. That's where I had it. And now I can't have it there. Who here has been in the Bible study room in the 8th grade room or the 7th grade room or the 7th grade room? Yeah, 7th grade room? That's great. Those could be permanent Bible study rooms. And it could be a wonderful opportunity for us to invite more and more people to a wonderful, comfortable atmosphere. So wonderful to be here. Thank you. And I pass it off to Principal Schultz. Can I get your thing off?
Yeah. Morning, everybody. Thank you again for the opportunity to talk. I am going to talk fairly quickly, but I would encourage you to look at the handout because it's following the slides that we're talking about. So just to follow up with what Pastor Miller said, I had a tour on this last week, Friday, of a 3K parent who wants to come here. and a second grader. And part of the tour is always, can you hear me okay? Okay. Part of the tour, I take them through the school, and I talk about the wonderful support staff that we have here and all the teachers that we have, but part of the tour is always to get them to meet the pastors. And so this last week I had Pastor Miller, and I think I had Pastor Hine, and we had a family talking. And these pastors do a wonderful job of talking to these new parents and encouraging them to come to church or just to get to know them. And so some people call that a big word, harvest strategy, but our church has a seriously good when we get a new family coming, and we have lots. If you look at the numbers up here in the last 6 years or 5 years, 6 years, we've gone from 205 students to 258 students. Actually, it's 256 right now, but I have 2 students that are coming in January, and I have 2 tours that are set up to come up here. We're being blessed with lots of growth, and the pastors, again, are doing a great job of talking to them, encouraging them to get to know us, and opportunity to share the gospel. How have you managed enrollment? When I came here, our 3K, let's do it this way, our 3K had about 15 kids, our 4K had about 15 kids, and our kindergarten had about 15 kids. 15 kids means 1 room. You can do it in 1 room. Maybe you have an 8 in there. But now our numbers, 3K we have 18, kindergarten we have 24, 4K we have 24, kindergarten we have 28, and first grade we have 33. So that's why, that's the nuts and bolts of it right there. We've gone from 15 kids to about 25 to 35 kids per classroom in 3K, 4K, first grade, and now the second grade is what they're coming into. And I'll get to the exact numbers, but how have we managed enrollment? When that 15 went to 20, we added some teachers like Mrs. Yankee and Mrs. Swantek, and we called them support teachers. And so when we had 20 kids in kindergarten, we didn't want to teach 20 kids reading, which is a core class, or math. We wanted to split them up into 10 and 10, so they had better instruction. So when we had 20 kids, that's what we did. We called 2 new teachers, and we split our core classes, math and reading. Well, we've gone past that now. Now we're at 25 plus students. And so we've added a 4K classroom and a 4K teacher, a kindergarten, 2 kindergartens, 27 kids. And now we have, this year, we have 2 teachers for 33 kids. And now the big problem that we're looking at is that those 33 kids who are in first grade are going into second grade with Mrs. Biesterfeld, and she doesn't want to teach 33 kids at one time. So that's where we're at. That's the steps, that's where we're moving into. How have we managed growth? You know this used to be the IMC. We took that over. That's Mrs. Kapler's office, and that's the special education teacher's office. And on the other side, that's the IMC, on the other side where you see the open area, that used to be a Bible class space that Pastor Miller referred to. Well, we kicked him out of there, and then we sent him to the 7th grade room. Are you going to follow me? Okay. But then that space became an aftercare program. And this is also linked to Little Lambs and aftercare and before care. One of the things we're talking about doing with Little Lambs is to try to bring the before and aftercare program over here. Because at Little Lambs, it takes up space for just a little while and they can't bring other kids in. It's kind of a confusing thing, but it would be a good thing for us to bring over here or have space for before and after school care. Well, that space on the other side had 30 kids for after school care all last year. But now that other side of the room is that, more classroom space. We bought $20,000 worth of dividers, and now that's a small classroom and a special ed classroom on the other side, speech teacher on the other side. So we've basically taken up that whole space. There is no space left in the building. Except for personal member ministry. You took over the last closet, right? We're done. There is no space. We're out. Make way for 33 first graders. That's what I was referring to. They're going into second grade. And next year we do have a plan for where we're going to put the second grade classroom. We do have a plan. It's the year after that where we're getting into, we have to make school we're going to kick you. No. But here's where we're at though. We got to split the second grade in 24-25. That's next year. And after that, we got to split the third grade in 25-26. Those 33 kids, which are growing too. It wasn't 33 kids when they came to 3K and 4K. They're growing. It's probably going to be about 35, 36. And then in fourth grade in 26, 27, we're gonna have to split that classroom. So that's why we're talking about building space. So our needs, we need, it shouldn't even say 4, we're past that. Initially we thought 4, but we're at 6 classrooms that we need. And those aren't 6 classrooms, those are 4 rooms and maybe a multi-purpose big area, like a meeting room, so we can get kids out of this room and into that area. Another thing we talked about is a high school sized gym. Our gym is the busiest gym, our gym is the busiest room in this building. And if you look at here, you don't have to figure the blue and the light blue. All you gotta do is look at the dark blue. The dark blue indicates how much time is open, free, during the school day. During the school day, 3% of the time it's open. All the rest of the time it's being used. Quiet classes, inside recesses when it's too cold outside. So gym is constantly being used during the day. And you can't read all these things, or maybe you can, but that's at the end of the school day from 3 o'clock till 8 o'clock at night. It's constantly being used, and it's 1 court. So your A team can go with the 1 court, but the B team has to wait until 5 o'clock. The C team has to wait, and these are the little 7th and 8th graders on C team. And I've talked to some of those parents, they say, our kids are here, C team, 7 years old and 8 years old, they're here till 8 o'clock at night. If you go to KML, when we talk about a high school sized gym, we're talking about a KML gym, where you have 2 courts running parallel, and then those practices can take place at the same time. So that's what we talk about when we say a high school gym. There's no gym for, I said basketball is from 3 to 4, another basketball from 5 to 6, and then 6 to 7 basketball. Well, the cheerleaders, they can't go in the gym to practice because the basketball players, so they practice right here in the narthex, which is not ideal unless you like hearing cheers by the office. First grade has physical education, and this is what they did for physical education one day, because the 5th to 8th graders were in the gym during a really cold day, snowy day. So 5th to 8th grade has about 120 kids. So 120 kids were in the gym. Mrs. Swantek went down with the 33 to have their Phi Ed class, couldn't go into the gym, so she spent Phi Ed walking the hallways with the kids. And it was kind of sad. Mrs. Rao has a 60-second video. Her athletic director, she has a lot to do with the gym.
Currently, our kindergarten class is sharing gym time with our 5 through 8 recess. And that means they kind of walk the halls for about 10 minutes so that the 5 through 8 kids can get in the gym on Wednesday mornings. Also, our gym is open to thousands of visitors every year, and one of the biggest complaints is that it's super hard to get in and out of our gym, or for big events, find a place to have a seat. So a new gym would be awesome.
The corridor downstairs to the gym, and I gotta keep on talking fast because I'm taking up too much time, but I'll keep. The corridor to the gym, when you enter it in the basement, can you imagine if you have a big tournament going on, all the people that are trying to pass in that narrow corridor, it's probably this wide. And it's just not a welcoming area, and our people are getting jammed up in there. And the concessions is right there too, so when you walk in, you're running into concessions people, because they're in line trying to get some food. Finally, we talked about church and school meeting rooms, This is the fellowship room that you are in right now. Presently, we use this fellowship room and the fireside room, which we should be, because other groups should be in here. So we want to free up that space by building a large area, an additional one. But right now, you don't know this, but we have 53 grade 7 and 8 catechism students that come in here, because if you want to have 7th and 8th grade together, you got it. That's like 50 kids. You got it. You can't do it in the 7th grade room. You can't do it in the 8th grade room. There's just not enough room for 50 kids. So we come in here. And so we also come in here for 3rd and 4th grade. Mrs. Swantek brings in about 45 students in here. And that would be some place where they could take somebody else. In the fireside room, we have students coming into too, and I don't like them in the fireside room. The fireside room is a very pretty room, very nice room, and when you get those youngsters in there, they're eating in there, and it's not good. So we need other spaces. Adding classrooms or a multi-purpose room would free up the fellowship and fireside room for church meetings, Sunday Bible classes, but even this meeting room that might look like this could be used for Sunday Bible classes, women's Bible study, quilters, pioneers, Bible information classes, etc. Expansion ideas. We have 2 ideas to propose to you. Number 1, a new high school sized gym that comes with parking. High school sized gym, Also has support rooms, bathrooms, locker rooms, concession area, and it would be about 12,000 square feet, and it'd be located back by the 3rd and 4th grade rooms on the playground. Everybody kind of got an idea for that? I'm gonna keep going. The other idea for this idea one, would be to take our existing gym and renovate that into 6 to 8 classrooms, 2 stories. So you walk into the gym and there might be a big cafeteria area. It would have a 2nd story, and on each of the stories you could have about 4 rooms, and you could also have storage rooms. With this idea one, the phase 1 would be the gym first, because you can't build in the gymnasium, the classrooms, and then you don't have a gym, for a year. You have to build the gym first, then go in and do the classrooms. Mr. Sievert's going to talk about possible prices of both these ideas once I get finished. The first floor of this is the existing gym, might look like this. Our 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders would vacate these classrooms up here. They would leave these classrooms, and they would go into these classrooms. We have cafeteria space on the main floor, maybe a meeting room on the main floor. On the 2nd floor, we could put child before and after school care we were talking about, and then there would be open rooms for church, school use, or for whatever, and then the 8th grade would be in here. 5th to 8th grade rooms could be repurposed. Friday women's Bible study, this is the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade rooms, and that's the teacher workroom. So all those would be vacated, and they're being redone right now. They're about 80% redone in the classrooms. They look very nice. So they could be used for meeting rooms. They could be used for all these different groups that I have listed up here. Okay. Idea one, in summary, first build the gym, and then the classrooms. Idea two. Idea two could be two phases. The first phase would be to build the classrooms at the end, those are by the 3rd and 4th grade room. That's a 2-story structure, and it would be 6 classrooms, including a large meeting room area. That would be phase 1. And you could do that by itself. And then there is enough room on the back of our property to add a high school-sized gym. That would be phase 2. And the parking that it would bring. The old gym could be used for a cafeteria. The old gym could be used for dramas and plays. The old gym could be used to avoid late practices like I was talking about. You can actually use it for a practice for C team right at 3 o'clock in the day. That's a rendering from the back of the property, and that's just the rendering of the gymnasium. Mr. Sievert, Jim, he's up for the financial piece of this.
Where does the handheld go?
Right here. You're on.
Good morning.
Morning.
There is definitely financial implications if we go with either one of these plans. And that's what I want to take you through right now. But please understand, everything that you're going to see, these are estimates. Only estimates. There would be a lot of fine tuning done. There would be a lot of effort to build as efficiently as we can and as cost efficiently as we can. So let's look at what it means. Since 2018, when we really were well into this recent expansion that we did, construction costs have increased by 43%. The $3.2 million we spent for this expansion today would be $4.5 million. That's just the construction cost. The interest rate on the loan, when we built this, the interest rate was at 4.25% for 30 years. Today, the most recent estimates we have seen are 7.5%. So I want to put this really in perspective for you. When we started looking at this expansion that we did, the first plan we looked at built a new gym, converted the old gym, and added everything that we did in this expansion $7.8 million. Please keep that in mind as I share with you what we're looking at now. For idea one, you're going to renovate the gym into all of those spaces that Mr. Schultz shared with you. You're going to build a new gym. And by the way, I happen to believe schools can never have too many gyms. I could say the same thing about John's, but you might say that the wrong way. It's so nice to have you back. All right, so idea one, this is what we're talking about. We convert the old gym into all of those different rooms we talked about. We build a new high school sized gym, and this area shows you the different support rooms that you would have to have. It would be the locker rooms, the bathrooms, and a concession area, plus the mechanical rooms that you would have to have. To renovate the old gym, it would cost us about $1.8 million. To build the new gym, it would be about $2.6 million. To build those entryway and support facilities would be about 2.9. Now, why is that so much more expensive than building a gym? It's easy. You don't put any plumbing in a gym. All the plumbing goes into those support rooms, the locker rooms, the bathrooms, the concession room. All of that goes into that entryway and the support rooms. So the total cost would be $7.3 million. And we could not split this up into phases. It would all have to happen at the same time. $7.3 million to convert the gym and build a new gym. Remember what I said? Back when we started, we could have built the new gym, converted the old gym, and built everything that we did in this expansion for a little bit more than the price tag for what this idea has. That's what has happened with construction costs. For idea two, you'd be looking at adding the 6 classrooms or the 6 rooms and maybe divided into 5, and then you have a larger room. However, we would arrange that. You would also get a new set of bathrooms. And this could be done in 2 phases. This would go straight out into the playground from where the last expansion ended, and it would really take away most of the ball field that we have out there. That's where it would be located. Then you would add, in phase 2, you would add the gym, the entryway, and the support rooms. But you don't have to do it all at one time. Phase 1, the classrooms, $2.1 million. Phase 2, the support rooms and the gym, $5.5 million. Total cost, $7.6. And then there's that nasty question at the bottom. If you do it in phases, how much will that construction cost continue to increase as you wait to do phase 2? How do you finance something like this? Well, we do have some money available in our building fund. People have continued to contribute even though the mortgage was burned. And we thank those people so much that you have set that example. Our school ministry plan this year calls for $48,000 to be transferred into that building fund, and that will take place. So the building fund is going to grow a little bit. We're looking at a fund drive, as we did for this expansion, and we're hoping we have a target of about $1.5 million. That would mean that we would need to borrow from financial institutions about $6 million. Now, that's kind of the maximum that we would borrow. What does that mean? For facility 1, or the idea 1, that cost was $7.3 million. We have those funds available. Bottom line, we would have to borrow $5.5, almost $5.6 million. And we would have to service that loan at about 7.5%. I'll show you what that means in a minute. For idea 2, total of $7.6 million. It's a little bit more expensive than And phase one, we'd have to borrow about 5.9 million, almost 6 million. That's why I used that $6 million figure. If you borrow $6 million at 7.5% and you take it out over 30 years, we would have a monthly loan payment of $41,000. That means annually we would be adding $500,000 to our ministry plan. That would be split between church and school. And school would be able to carry a large portion of that debt because of the choice program and the money that we receive from the choice program. That is an allowable expense because it's an educational expense to provide room for students. But look at what that means for the interest. If we do that loan over 30 years and we take 30 years to pay it back, we're going to pay $9 million in interest. That's what's happened with the interest rates. In comparison, when we borrowed the 3.2 million and set that up over 30 years, we would have paid, and had we gone that full term, we would have paid a little under $1 million in interest. If we borrow 5 million, we would be adding over 30 years about $34,000 per month in a loan payment, almost 35, about 419,000. It basically comes down to, for every $1 million we borrow, we add $80,000 to our ministry plan. I wish I could do it in another way. I wish I could give you better news, but that's where we are with the cost of construction. That's where we are with interest rates. That's what happens. That's the bottom line financially.
Yeah, so what do you do at this time? You go to God and you thank Him for the blessings that He's given, and you go to God and you ask Him to bless the efforts that we have. And this Bible passage that Paul wrote to the Colossians, it's the same thing that we can think about here for us. Pray for us that God may open a door for our message so that we may proclaim the mystery of Christ. Be wise in the way you act toward outsiders. Make the most out of every opportunity. And that last line, make the most of every opportunity. God's given us the opportunity to go out and to talk more about Jesus, to serve more people with Jesus, to bring more people into our buildings and to grow their faith and to allow them to see the goodness of God. And we'll see if we take that opportunity and how that looks in moving on in the future. So I believe you've just seen the wonderful blessings that we've have here at Good Shepherd. You've seen the extraordinary opportunities that we have for growth and to share Jesus. And you certainly have seen also the extraordinary special gifts that this is going to take. And so let's think about this. Let's pray about this. Let's cast all this on God, who is powerful and strong and who will be with us throughout all this. And we thank you for this time. You know what? This presentation was supposed to be 20 minutes, but it's not. So now we go to you. We go to you. What things do you have to say? You have already mentioned there are some Q&As that have been frequently asked about throughout the process of this. So take a look at those, see if those were your questions. You also have a form there that we'd love for you to fill out. There's a drop box over there by the door on your way out. Please think about those things, answer those questions, and return those forms. But also, we want to think about what you guys have to say, your thoughts about this. Please ask away.
What I'm understanding with the second option, that if we do if we do it in 2 phases, we still get the big gym, we still get the 6 classrooms, but we also save the present gym that can be used for cafeteria plays and extra practice facility.
Correct. We would have the second gym available after we build the larger high school sized gym. And that time frame would be a question mark. We don't know when we would be able to step into phase 2 to build that high school sized gym.
I guess what I'm saying, it's better to do everything though in phases to save an extra gym.
It's twofold. You can think about that.
It could impact the construction costs if they just continue to walk.
Correct. One of the things we have said with 2 gyms, there would be a dilemma of how to hold like a tournament, right, with them on 2 different sides of the campus. We feel that people passing through our building from one area to the other, it would be hard to manage that. Yes, we would have the blessings of the practices and holding them and utilizing the gym for plays and for extra activities. But to manage two gyms, we do have that in the back of our minds a little bit as well.
But the field house would still be the same size.
Correct.
So you wouldn't necessarily have to use this for tournaments, you could just keep it for plays and practices and cafeteria.
Yep.
In the presentation, I heard that there would be a fund drive for $1.5 million. And what's the pledge period for that?
3 years is what I believe that pledge time for the 1.5 initial would be 3 years.
You mentioned just briefly there would be more parking. In this past expansion, we actually lost parking. Where are we going to put that? In the middle of the street out back?
No, we were looking at it in front of the new gym off to the east side here. And so as the small parking lot to the east here, to the east of the sanctuary, that would be extended out and then pushed more north as well.
Mission or vision for the school, what is the enrollment cap? I mean, is this the expansion that we're stopping at for the next 20 years? What is the plan?
For the next 20 years?
I don't know the number, but is there a vision for the school and the ministry of the school size and, you know, teacher shortage, things like that? What's the?
Right now, the vision is just to expand and be able to put 2 classrooms to most every grade. And right now, we just have 2 classrooms in 3K, 4K, first grade, and then second grade next year. And then once those kids start pushing through, we're gonna need 4 to 5 rooms as they go through. We're not thinking beyond 2 rooms. I think realistically, 2 rooms would service us for a good number of years.
Last year, we also did cap multiple classrooms where we could not allow any more students into them, and that is not something we want to do.
I want to answer Ed's question about the parking and where it would be. Your church facility is basically over here, and what you're doing is you're bringing that present parking lot that we added, and you're bringing it almost all the way up to this gym. So you're going to maintain that space, plus you're going to expand. We would redo the retention pond to allow more parking, and we would bring it farther north. So it would still be connected to what we have right now. We would lose green space.
Carolyn?
Would that mean there would be like a back entry into the church for people who are handicapped so they wouldn't have to walk so far?
That is a possibility, because the parking would bring us up into this area. We have a doorway that goes into church here. It's usually used just by kids coming off the playground, but you could arrange a walkway that would bring people into that door. They no longer have to walk through the entire Welcome Center, the entire narthex. They're coming in, they're almost in the narthex, and can go straight into the sanctuary.
Are we talking doubling the teachers for those, the first grade, second grade? Mrs. Biesterfeld's gotta have help.
Doubling the teacher for second grade for sure next year, and third grade for sure the year after that, and fourth grade for sure the year
Are
after
there
that.
that many teachers available?
We've been fortunate so far that we have a staff that we said we have the potential for growing because we are fully staffed. Yes.
Two questions, or maybe 3. If we would do this expansion, how far out would that do we feel that would handle the situation as far as the school growing? Is it, where you said 2 classes, two classrooms per class? Is that about, 5 years, 7 years, maybe? Oh, somewhere in that neighborhood?
We started with 4 rooms.
Yeah.
And then the more we thought about it, we're at 6 rooms.
Okay,
because we'll want to extend out the second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade.
okay.
Sometimes when you get bigger numbers, like 34, 35 kids in the upper grades, 6, 7, and 8, they're departmentalized, people are moving around for different math levels, that those numbers can be controlled. Like right now, we have close to 30 in 7th grade
So,
in one room.
so that would cover us for the next maybe 5, 6, 7 years, is that what we're
Oh,
figuring?
no, I was going back to her. I think this would cover us for probably a good 10, 15 years.
Okay, 10 years, let's use that number.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have a commitment from Shepherd of the Hills? Their school, they could have a school right now of about 50 students if they weren't in this school. For the next 10 years, do we think that there's no chance that they would have their own school?
It is pointless to have two elementary schools, Wells Elementary Schools, serving a city of 35,000 people. That's the problem we have run into in Milwaukee. That's the problem we have run into in any number of other cities. The schools, you end up with two small schools. They are not efficient. We are encouraging, and this is part of the work I do for the Synod, we are encouraging schools to work together, to combine. Shepherd of the Hills is committed to continuing our partnership. They are also committed to rolling part of this expansion cost into the funding model that we use. So Shepherd of the Hills would be picking up part of that cost.
And the other question would be, there are other costs that were just mentioned, because with expansion, we would have more teachers that we would need. Could we see those costs for the next 5 years also, what we see the budget impact will be? Not just the loan payment, but the other costs that would have to go into the budget, because we would have more teachers, more heat, more cleaning utilities, those type of things.
If you would add one teacher per year, when you figure in salary and you figure in all benefits, you're looking at between $70,000 and $80,000 per teacher.
So in general terms, we could say if we had, I think your impact was $80,000 maybe on the budget, it would really be like $160,000 a year, because we would assume we'd have one more teacher a year. Is that
Well,
safe to
yes,
say?
but then you also have to look at the fact that you are not factoring in growth. And the more students that you pull in, the more tuition money that you're going to get. So you have to look at that, yes, but you also then have to figure out, okay, when we add that student, and when we add that teacher, how many more students are we going to have?
Well, then I think what would be good, along with these numbers, is to have some guess at what the impact of the budget would be, maybe in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, so that we have those costs also in front of us, when we look at the total package.
I also think about the enrollment increase that we would potentially see throughout the incoming years, and that would be more income to our school, which would allow us to pay those teachers more and more. Perhaps there would be included more choice program children in those increased numbers of enrollment, and again, those would bring in more dollars
But
into
that
our
would
school
reduce-
budget
yeah,
too.
that would make the number go down. So
Yep.
something that looks at that whole package, you know.
We took steps this year as far as tuition rates. We took steps for the 24-25 school years, increase revenue by taking away some of the discounts to the amount of about $100,000 to $150,000. So each year our tuition could easily address adding a staff person, a position.
Gene?
Pastor Miller mentioned something, a small little detail saying that you had to turn away students.
I mentioned we capped 3 classrooms the previous year, 1 classroom the previous year. I'm sorry.
Yeah, one classroom we capped, and that was the first grade classroom. When we capped classrooms, we capped that at about 25. When we capped classrooms, we talked to the classroom teacher, who was Mrs. Drua. We look at the makeup of the class, and then we consider the needs of the students.
Right.
And if there are greater needs in the first grade class, we may cap it at 25, and then bring in an 8 to help out.
Did we,
But that was the only one we capped, and that was for 1 year. We didn't cap other ones. In fact, Jim and I were just arguing the other day about providing choice seats for one of the classrooms, and I said, I don't want to provide choice seats, I want to cap that classroom. And he talked to me, and Dan, it's not a good idea to cap classrooms. If you have people coming, for many reasons, unchurched people are coming in, possibly. So we're unified on our vision that we try not to cap classrooms.
yes, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
If you had Do you know if you had to turn anybody away because you capped it?
I don't, no, we didn't.
That's good.
We had 25 minutes.
And we didn't argue, we discussed. John?
Yeah, what percentage of the school budget is the choice dollars? And two, as you know, there's a big lawsuit coming up and they're gonna try through state Supreme Court cancel the choice program. So what would that do to our situation?
Well, what I'll tell you, John, is the exact same thing that they are suing for has been tried before and shot down at the state level and at the federal level. They're gonna try again because they have a new liberal justice. Does it look like it's going to go very far? I'll have more information after Friday when I go to a meeting. I wouldn't worry about it because they would be impacting public schools that are not set up to handle an influx of over 40,000 kids from the statewide program. And it would end the Milwaukee Choice program, and I firmly believe that if they tried to end the Milwaukee Choice program, the people in Milwaukee would finally vote Republican. At least for that issue. John?
Existing gym would be made into classrooms, but now it seems like it's gonna be classrooms.
No, it's two different ideas, Joe. Idea one converts the gym into the classrooms and we don't build any new classrooms. We build a new gym and the support ones. Idea two was, because we wanted to build or wanted the option of can we build in phases, we built the classrooms first, continued to use our present gym, and then later on, we addressed building a new gym, and then we figure out what to do with the present gym.
The financial aspect is, the interest can vary so much. Now, I'm sure we go into a fixed, high interest, but there's a possibility things change a lot. So.
Oh, absolutely, and it's, you may enter into a loan, but just like with the house, you can refinance a commercial loan too. Right.
Has any consideration been given to the building that we have at the corner down here, the teachers?
Consideration as far as what?
Making it into parking?
You would gain maybe 6 parking spots. We've looked at that. And if we tore that down, we might gain 6 parking spots at best.
Jones offers for 6 minutes. We don't want to cut off your questions, but I think we have to for now. There's going to be lots more opportunities as we go down this road to think about, to ask questions and inform you of other things. And thank you so much for your input. We do apologize that we thought this was going to be a 20-minute presentation. Pastor Yankee does have our special prayer requests. I did mention that. We are going to transfer those into our service. So we will have all the special prayer requests that you gave to Pastor Yankee within our service here starting in just 10 minutes. And so let's close this presentation with a prayer. Dear God, thank you. Thank you for the blessings of Good Shepherd Church and School. Thank you for sharing Jesus with us and building up our faith. Thank you that we get to do that with other kids and other adults here at Good Shepherd. Bless our efforts as we move forward and let us build connections to Jesus. Amen.